Hi, welcome to this tutorial on practical application and connecting real-world sensors with Microbit. So in this session, we are going to see about servo motors. Okay. So as you can see in that on my camera screen, I have the servo motors. Okay. So this is my servo motors which can rotate like this, like this, like this. This is some attachment over servo motor, but basically this blue portion is the servo motor. Then I have my microbit, and this is my microbit expansion board, which I am using it for interfacing the pins of a microbit to the servo motors. So this device is very helpful, and of course, this is very cheap. You can easily take it from market. So these are made by some of the very good companies. I have this from the DF Robot, which is making this kind of a pin interface for all my microbit pins. So I can just plug in this slot like this, you can see, and straight away I can program microbit by connecting this jumper wires over here. Okay. So now let us first of all, before going to a code, let us see about what is this servo motor is. So a very small presentation which we continued from our previous session where we have seen about the speakers. So in this session, as you know that a servo motor is used for precision control of an object. Okay. So suppose you want to make a very small movement of about our robot with some angle like some few degrees, then we can use the servo motors. Okay. The angle in servo motors is controlled by width of the pulse. So microbit has analog pin which can be programmed for varying pulse length, or these pins are also called as PWM pin, that is pulse width modulation. So as you can see that this P1 pin, P0 pin, P2 pin, they can be used as our PWM pins. Okay. So if we now go forward, this is the connection of our microbit with our servo motors. A servo motors has three wires. You can see normally they are color coded. So for my servo motor, one is for the voltage, which is shown in the red color. Then the other is for the ground pin, and one wire is for the data or the pulse which I have to send to my servo motors. Okay, so it's a three wire connection. I have used a three wire some extension with some this jumper cable so that I can interface my this pins to this jumper wires over here. Okay, and this is some setup. The red portion is some camera or some sensor which I can fit it here. I have done over this my servo motors. So many good servo motors are available. Normally they are rated for our DIY project or the hobbies project in the range of 3 to 5 volts, so that this board can supply both 3 volt as well as 5 volt, because the microbit can only supply 3 volts, but this board can supply 5 volt if I give a 5 volt input here at this pin. Okay. So now let us see that in my this presentation, if I apply a pulse of 1 millisecond, then the angle will be 0 degrees. If I apply a pulse of 1.5 milliseconds, angle will be 90 degrees. And if I apply a pulse of 2 milliseconds, the angle will be 180 degrees. Okay. So in my project or my program, I have used this kind of a pulse width modulation. But of course, to keep it simple, Microbit has some of the libraries which are called the extension libraries. So now let us go to our Microbit project. I'll just write one new project just to show you how to add a extension library to use servo motors with our Microbit. So I will write servo this name of the project. I will put a create button. So now, as you can see now, this web page has opened up, same like earlier, makecode.microbit.org. So in this, you can see that there is a no button called as servo. So how to add this button servo? So first of all, we have to go to the extension tab. Once I go to the extension tab, it will show me some recommended libraries which are already here. So I can also type it here, or if it is seen on my screen, I can directly add it. So this is a servo library. If I click it, this will be added to my this web page. So now I can see a button called as a servo. Inside servo, there are many buttons. Okay. So let us go and see that already made tutorial for our test case. This is the program test.servo which I have made. I've already made some button. I have said that on button B pressed, it should go to angle 180 degrees. On button A press, it should go to 0 degrees. And if I press a button A plus B, then it should go to 90 degrees. So now already I'm using a library, so I don't have to see or worry about my pulse width. This is taken care by this library. But suppose if you are using some other languages like Python or something else, then of course you can try to set the pulse width using this technique which we have seen in the presentation. Of course, this presentation will be provided to you as a part of resources. You can check it out there also. Okay, so now let us first of all copy our code to our microbit. So I will connect my USB to my microbit. It is going to go like this. Once I do the connection of USB, it is going to show me this web page. So let us try to minimize it and then try to download our code here. So once I do to download, it is downloading and the code has come into my microbit. Okay, so now code is in my microbit. Let me remove this cable now. Let me connect my microbit to my extension board. Okay, now let us connect our servo. So servo has, as we have said that it needs a voltage supply. So this red color or this blue colored wire, I have to connect it to my voltage, which is 5 volts. So I will connect my wire. This is a 5-volt pin here. So I will go to connect like this. The red portion is connected to this kind of wire. The green is the ground wire. So let me connect it here. And this white wire is a data wire. So it should go to which wire? Let us check in the code. In the code, it says that P0 is my data wire because I am talking about set servo P0 with some angle. So P0, if you see there, then this is the P0. So now it is connected. So now everything is connected fine. I have the servo in my hand. So let me connect some power supply external 5 volt to this kit, which is coming from my outlet. And now let us make this button on so that my microbit is on. Okay. So I have my servo in my hand and it says that now if I press some button A or B, it is going to make some movement. So let us see how. I press this button A, it is at, I think if you press the button A, it is at 0 degree. So let us define this as 0 degree. If I press this button B, it is going like this, so it is 180 degrees. And if I press again button A, it is going to 0 degrees. So if I press both this button A and B like this, then it should go to 90 degree, that is in the middle portions. So code is working fine. We can also define some more our own angles. In this way we can control and use this in our robotics projects. Okay, so this was a very simple interface which I've shown you using a block diagram. You don't need to worry about how to sell, uh, how to take the pulse width and all. But in a very nutshell or in a very simple way, you can use this make code block language to program your Microsoft. So thank you for watching this lecture. In the next lecture, we'll interface some more sensors to give you a real world idea of how the microbit can interface more sensors in the real world. Thank you. Bye.